All right, welcome back. We're going to be starting up a new segment, Sundays. Going to try to be looking at a different Sunn amp, either just a quick checkout of an amp like this will be, because this amp is running, or doing a full-on repair, or even a full-on refurbishment of a Sunn amp. Try to get some installment of something like that out to you guys every Sunday for the next little while here. I actually have enough Sunn gear. We could probably keep this going for months. So this is my personal Sunn Model T second generation that I bought used about 5 years ago. Really wish I would have gotten one of these things when you could still grab them for about $500 or $600 years and years ago. I paid a little bit more than that for this. But saw the price rising and the scarcity increasing, and I'd always wanted one, and decided to go ahead and just get one, and now it's one of my favorite amps for recording. I don't get it out of the house very much because it is such a rare amp, but this is just a tone machine when it comes to recording, between blending the bright and the normal channels. I do hook this up to my attenuator. I've got a Fryette power station too, that this gets hooked into, so that it can be played at reasonable volumes, and do use it for a ton of recording. It is just great for that kind of stuff. You can get all kinds of tones out of these things. A lot of people, the big difference between the Gen 1 and Gen 2 has to do with this mid-select in the tone section. A lot of people prefer the Generation 1 to the Generation 2, but I can tell you this thing does everything I've ever wanted it to. So we're going to pull it out of the chassis, take a little bit of a closer look, and then, I'm happy to dive as deep as you guys want to go on a series with these if you want to look at what's going on with the circuit, or do some powered on voltage checks, whatever helps people out. We can do some sound tests as well, compared to other amps. But for now, just going to do a quick video to introduce this series, doing some Sunday stuff. I've got a few beta leads to do full repairs on, a concert lead. I have a Sunn mixer of my own to look at, and then a couple other ongoing customer projects that we can dive into for doing full repairs. There's not quite as much of this stuff out there on YouTube as some other brands, so I thought this might be interesting to people. Okay, so let's take a look at the back of the chassis, see what's going on there. Okay, back of the chassis, you can see we've got a aux plug and circuit breaker, polarity switch, warranty validation sticker. I'm guessing, even though I can't read it, my warranty is expired on this thing, but that's okay. I can be my own warranty. 2 speaker outputs, and then we can do 2, 4, 8, or 16 ohms for our output. So these amps will cover a lot of ground. Really, any cab that you want to hook these up to will work just fine. And then our 500 ohm line out. No, is that 6? Yeah, 600 ohm. Need to get my eyes checked. Okay, so we're going to open this up. I think I've actually only opened this when I first got it, just to make sure there was nothing weird in there, that it wasn't like totally, butchered and redone by somebody, and it looked mostly original with maybe a little bit of work. So I fired it up and I've used it for a ton of recording at home ever since. But that's about it. And it's quickly become one of my favorite amps to play. So let's pull the chassis, take a closer look, and see what we can learn just from taking a glance at one of these. All right, so we've removed the chassis from the head shell. You can see the massive transformers on these things, which, it's kind of a running joke to me, but there's some truth to the fact that the heavier an amp is, the better it sounds. That usually has to do with the transformers. Just an opinion, but really seems to hold true between these and the Ampeg V4s and similar amps. You can see we've got 3 12AX7 tubes, a quad of 6550s, which is something to keep in mind if you're considering getting one of these amps. Just this set of, these are tongue soles. You could get, JJs or something. But those 4 tubes right there are nearly $300. So there is some upkeep cost on an amp like this that's this loud, that's using 6550s or similar. We can see right there, that is a new can cap. That's a CE cap. These are good if you're replacing can caps. They are kind of the #1 game in town these days. If they're making a can cap that meets the values that you need. But some work has definitely been done on this thing, which I think when I bought this, I was told it had been serviced and was just ready to go. Just person was selling just due to needing the cash and not wanting to, but it's kind of how it goes sometimes. Okay, so let's flip this thing over and take a look at what's going on inside one of these amps. All right, this is where the magic happens. And we can see there's quite a bit of work that's been done on this amp. All of these resistors. Oh, look at this. This guy's broken off. It's a good thing I opened this up. There's a little surprise. Okay, looks like I have a repair I need to do on this. We'll take a look, see if I've got that resistor value in stock. I'll just go ahead and repair that on this video. Yeah, interesting, because this has been sounding just fine, so I will repair that. But yeah, all those resistors have been replaced, and you can see there's a reason why we usually silicon stuff, or use silicone for strain relieving stuff like this, because just from the weight of that resistor vibrating sitting on top of my 2x15 cab, that leg is snapped off. Okay, cool. You can see right here, these guys have been replaced. These are new, or newish, compared to the stock values at least. It's had a cap job at some point. These could probably stand to be replaced still. I don't know if these are, they look newer than the stock ones, but yeah, I'm not sure how old those actually are without trying to do some research or pull a date code from those caps. So I actually may do a little service on this, try to get these resistors that are floating a little more secure so they're not just solely relying on their solder points. You can see these are like our coupling caps coming into the power stage. We have a couple, probably a bias and a hum balance going on there. Yeah, not too much. This is definitely a newer cap. Looks like a Mallory style. Got something that gets hot. I wonder what that is actually. Oh, that's got to be an inductor. Now, one thing to be said about these along with, again, like the Ampeg V4s, have a mid-range circuit that has an inductor in it, where like the Ampeg V4 actually has a small little transformer with several taps. And man, they sound good. There's something about that where you have an inductor acting as a low-pass filter for a tone stage instead of a series of capacitors acting as high-pass filters, or you know, some combination of a network that sounds very musical and very good. And it could be just that the circuits are different. That might be something we want to explore further on this channel as well. It's just building those tone circuits into a box and comparing and contrasting, because I have been a big fan of the way that those circuits sound. Now, usually, like I know on the Ampeg V4, it's more of a parametric EQ where you select, which I think is what's going on here too. So we have, for our mid, this is, I believe, is acting as our center frequency. And then this knob is acting as our Q value, or how much we're amplifying that. I'd have to take a closer look at the circuit. But I believe that's what's happening there. And then same on the Ampeg V4s, where you have a rocker switch doing the same as this. And then your mid is basically amplifying around that center frequency. Okay, let me see if I have one of these resistors real quick. If so, we'll just go ahead and fix that right now. Okay, I just checked my parts stash, and unfortunately I do not have a 47 ohm 5 watt resistor to replace this on hand, so I'm going to have to place a parts order here. I may go ahead and replace these 2 capacitors while I'm in here and take a quick glance, see if there's anything else that should be taken care of immediately. I don't think there necessarily is. A couple other notes on these amps. These are ultra linear output transformers. Same as in like the later twins, the higher watt twin reverbs, which basically means there's extra taps on the output transformer over here that allow things to stay a little bit cleaner at higher volumes. And a lot of guys, for a long time, those twins were considered to be, you know, worse than other twins because you can't get that breakup that guys were expecting, even though it's a twin, and those amps get piercingly loud. And these, for the same reason, I think were considered to be kind of subpar amps because people wanted to be able to get like that power tube grit before realizing, well, you can do the same thing, you just get that grit when people's teeth are rattling, which is one of the strengths of these amps, is you can get very, very loud and then still get that kind of clean tone power tube saturation that sounds great for some styles of music. So yeah, they, because of that, are a little bit, I think, or were a little bit misunderstood for a long time, but are now getting the attention they deserve. Also, another note, these are very different than the reissue, the Fender reissue with the black panel. I know a lot of people are now talking about that and discovering that, but just there's the first generation of this vintage style that's a black and gray knob without this mid-select. There's this version. And then in the 90s, they did the Fender style Sunn Model T, which is a totally different amp. They're still great amps. They sound good. I played one for a lot of years that belonged to a friend for a band we were playing in together. And he still has that amp, but they are a very, very different type of sound. Much more of a modern distortion, 2-channel, you know, with the crunch channel and then the overdrive, like full-on dirt channel. But they don't have the interstage transformers like this. They do not have the ultralinear output transformer. They do not operate on 6550 tubes. They use 6L6s, I believe, a quad of 6L6s. Much more complicated circuit. This is a very straightforward circuit when you actually get down to it. Just very different amp in general. So I was going to give you guys a sound test of this amp, but I think we're going to have to order this part. I'll replace that. I'll then show you the work. Again, I'll maybe go ahead and replace these caps as well. We'll give this thing good powered on once those parts show up, and then do a full-on sound test. I'll hook this up in the studio and record some sounds, and we'll try it in standard tuning and then maybe with the baritone tuned down to like B or something, just so you guys can hear what's up. Let me know though if there's anything you want to see from a sound test or voltages on the Sunn Model T like this, or if you have opinions on what you want to see next in terms of Sunn amps. Again, I've got a few Model Ts, or I'm sorry, a few Sunn Beta leads, and similar solid state ones from that era. No other tube Sunns on hand at this point, going into my personal stash, but I do have a lot of the solid state stuff, and then another customer tube one that we'll start working on together here soon. Okay. Yeah, I think that's going to be it for this then. Just an introduction to the fact that we're going to be doing Sunn Amp Sundays. So let me know what you want to see from that if there is interest. As always, thanks for watching. Hope you're having a great day. And we'll see you on the next one.